revoir. Mediocre podcasting. Today, tomorrow, forever.
Hello, I'm Conrad Bain. Tonight on
DAMMIT,
we're starting a special two-part show on a very sensitive and important subject. Now, we urge families, children and parents alike, to watch both of these informative episodes and then to discuss the problem presented, which is of deep concern to all of us.
On a very special edition of Van Dammit. Hey, I think I found the missing evidence. Hurry, they're about to pull the switch.
Yeah? You want my badge? Yeah, here's my badge. There. I'm done.
Evan Moore and Andrew Gruvius. Well, it's either a bomb or a very loud watch. Hey, let's open up and see.
He's dead, Jim. He's dead. He's fucking dead!
As the boys cover the stupendous film debut. What do you mean, cut the blue wire? Both wires are black!
Everybody I've told about the file is dead. Except you. Ah, shit.
Of model actress Natasha Henstridge. Mom, Dad, children, Father Finkelstein, I have something to tell you. I'm tired of living a lie all these years, so brace yourselves. I love Over the Top.
Ladies and gentlemen of this great state, as your senator, I must make the following proclamation. From this point forward, I wish to be known as Helen.
It's 1995 Species. Wait, Natasha Henstridge is naked again?
Fuck yeah!
And it starts right now.
In January, a message from an extraterrestrial source was picked up at the Parkes Observatory in Australia. A new sequence of DNA, friendly instructions on how to combine it with ours.
This growth is amazing.
The decision was made to terminate the experiment.
He's breaking out!
She escaped. We have a serious emergency on our hands. I want a team to track her. Hunt her down.
You created a monster, now you want us to kill it.
We decided to make it female so that it would be more docile and controllable.
More docile and controllable. I guess you guys don't get out much.
She wants to have a baby.
She'll kill anyone that gets in her way.
I wouldn't hurt you. Yes, you would. Just don't know it yet.
She'd have a dozen babies. She could lay 1,000 eggs.
Something's wrong.
She's here! Get out of there! Open the damn door! Hey!
Oh, God.
I'm sorry your mother won't be coming downstairs for dinner.
I know, that damn sciatica. You know, she's got to go see a doctor.
The kids really wanted to be here, but they're watching strangers play video games on Twitch.
Lois, will you be a dear and make a plate for me?
Peter, I'm going to open a bottle of wine. Do you mind making a plate and bringing it up for Mommy?
Yeah, I can do that. Maybe open a couple bottles.
Oh, why? Did you bring one?
I didn't, but you always say, well, you typically say, help yourself.
One bottle ought to be plenty.
Hey, Babs, I got something I think will make you feel better.
Sounds like a hippo clomping around up there.
I feel so sorry for Mommy.
Don't worry about your mother. She's got her celebrity news programs up there keeping her company.
Yeah, right. Wait, celebrity news? What time is it?
Just about 7:30. Why?
Oh my God, oh my God! Peter, no! Peter! 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 Peter!
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
Yes, indeed, it is a very special episode of Van Dammit. What production, Andrew Gruthius? What Conrad Bain, Evan Moody, Andrew Gruthius getting into hijinks. We finish off with Peter Griffin giving oral favors to his mother-in-law. Andrew, great job producing the opener.
Yeah, and I'm glad you think so, because when we get sued by multiple production companies for copyright infringement, I'll be calling on you for an attorney.
Isn't like YouTube? Isn't there something with fair trade? I mean,
who the hell knows? If anybody gave a shit about what we were doing, we would have been in trouble a long time ago.
We did get something one time by the WWE. We did get something clipped
by
the WWE.
Yes. You know what we get? I get notifications. They go to my junk mail. They're from like YouTube.
I want to see your junk mail so badly.
So would I.
A sewer of spam and go ahead.
Yeah. So they go to my junk mail. They're from YouTube, and they tell us that our content has been blocked for copyright reasons in certain regions, and then it lists the regions. And they're usually, or they might be always the same. It's either Russia or like Czechoslovakia or one of those. You know, it's, so it's never one that we would have hopefully, you know, it's not going to be in India. They love us there.
I was just setting it up for the one-liner. I was like, clearly not India.
Yeah. But, so those are the only places that seem to have a problem with us playing, Jefferson Airplane or Carl Douglas. Is that his name? Yeah, Carl Douglas. Kung Fu fighting. They don't have a problem with that.
I think fair trade, though, they always talk about you can't make clips for more than certain number of seconds or minutes. That's why a lot of these visual podcasts, they'll talk into the clip.
Yeah.
They'll cut into the clip. So I guess they don't get copyright.
I wish, you know what? And it's interesting about the copyright thing because, see, like if I heard a podcast
Go ahead.
with, that opened with Jefferson Airplane, and I had never heard Jefferson Airplane before, and I thought that song was great. I'm gonna go do whatever I'm going to do, whatever I do to get music, I'm gonna do with Jefferson Airplane. I'm not gonna get it from the podcast. I'm not gonna record the podcast and, now Jefferson Airplane Jane is on my library. I'm gonna go purchase the song if I want it. So it's just like if I'm watching somebody react to, I just discovered those reactors, when Meatloaf.
Reaction videos?
Yeah, when Meatloaf died, I was just looking up songs, just to play of his, and I saw all these people listening to Meatloaf and for the first time and reacting to him, and I realized, I now see that that's a huge thing out there. If I'm gonna get that music, or let's say watch that movie, alright, I'm reacting to Avengers Endgame for the first time, it's fun. It's like watching it with a buddy, in a way, and creepy too. But at the same time, that's not how I'm going to watch Avengers Endgame to experience it for myself. So why not just let them play it? It's the best form of advertising. If I see this guy reacting so crazily to this movie, I'm going to go watch it myself on whatever platform I pay to watch it. So I don't understand all this copyright stuff. It only serves to sell the product.
I think on the reaction videos, those are, for movies, they're truncated, and for songs, they have to step in and cut the song they know when they need to step in and make a comment.
Right.
So
that's why they do that? I never quite understood.
Well, I mean, obviously you're getting their reaction, but the smart podcasters know when to step in to avoid any kind of legality, I think. So, all right, Guru, there's Andrew and his reaction videos.
Yeah. What would we react to? What would be our first? If we branched off, like our friends at Last of the Action Heroes, Ryan, he's gone on several different offshoots of Sylvester Stallone. So what would we do? What sidestep would we take?
I mean, clearly, I think the first thing to me would be a wrestling match, because that's kind of sort of beyond us becoming friends at summer camp. We really first bonded in our love of wrestling.
Yeah. All right.
And then, so that, or maybe a music concert on DVD, but I think a wrestling match would probably be the most apropos.
All right.
And we've been doing that for years.
That's true.
Record it.
Yeah. All we do is go on tangents. Actually,
that's right.
Come to think of it.
So let me cut this tangent and say on today's show, we are going to take a special look at Jean-Claude Van Damme's Maximum Risk co-star's film debut, model turned actor Natasha Henstridge, in 1995 Species, in which she plays Syl, a genetically engineered alien-human hybrid. All of this plus spanning the universe, and we'll give you one thing to watch this week. We've already brought him in, our resident henstrologist on this episode, Andrew Gruthius, Coconut Creek, Florida. Gru, how are you on this special Tuesday Night Titan edition of Van Damme?
Good Easter egg there. Yes, Tuesday Night Titans are back. Doing great. It's a little rainy out, but that's apropos for Florida, 8:30 on a Tuesday night. Everything is fine down here. Looking forward to the holiday break and enjoying life a little bit. But yeah, everything's great. Everything is fabulous. Can't complain. Are you waiting for me to complain?
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Yes, yeah. Looking forward to the 2 weeks off as well.
Are you off? Are you off now?
No, I have. We're working till this Friday, and then we get the last week in January, and then so we get that extra week in January. So to speak.
Yeah, so do we. That's what we got.
And actually, I don't care as long as I get the 2 weeks off.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We go till we work Friday, and then we're off until I think like January 9th or 10th, around then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll do a podcast at the end right before we go back to work. I probably won't have bathed in 6 days. I won't have shaved. So
that's when you start doing funky things with your beard. It's like
laundry preservation. I just hang it up on the shower. Let it air out. Marie yells at me, "Are you wearing the same damn socks 3 days in a row?" And I'm like,
"Yes,
maybe." Maybe. All right, Gru. All right, Tuesday night. Let's get to it. Before we identify exactly what Species is, let's check out. We got just two items. The latest news on our favorite 80s action stars. It's time for Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Spanning Universe. This is brought to you by New Life Center.
begin a new you. Check out all of their wonderful laser treatments at www.newlifecenters.com. Give them a call, 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groot sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. We do have to wish the wonderful and talented Marie a very happy 50th birthday.
Happy birthday, Marie.
This Saturday, last Saturday, we partied down in Arcadia. We had about 40 people there, and we had a nice time. So, happy birthday, Marie. New You Life Center. Restore your youthfulness with confidence. I can't believe I'm engaged to a 50-year-old. What the hell happened
What do you
to
mean?
me?
She's younger than you.
That is true.
Yeah, what are you complaining about?
This is true. Free consultation, customized services, feel good in a stress-free environment. That's New You Life Center. Gru, Arnold Schwarzenegger, could we actually see Arnold Schwarzenegger in the MCU?
Probably.
Well,
they're gonna need some heavy hitters, if they're going to get back to the Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans level. You know, if those guys aren't coming back, they're gonna need people to, fill those shoes.
Well, thank you for that, exorbitant comment, but I mean, I'm thinking of this, and again, respectfully, is Arnold Schwarzenegger a heavy hitter still?
I'm gonna say yes, because in the right thing, doing the right thing, think about it, without going on too much of a tangent.
Don't tangent, but come on, Arnold opens a movie, is it a lot
wait
to
a
make
minute.
100 mil?
No, but I don't think there's anybody like that anymore. If, let's say, Terminator Dark Fate was phenomenal, universal hit, it was the most incredible thing ever made, you know, all it takes is one, earth-shattering thing to bring these guys back to the forefront. You know, put Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Tarantino movie and he'll be hot shit again. But, no, I do believe he's still a heavy hitter. He still headlines. You know, he's still a powerful guy. So yeah.
Your Hollywood scenarios are like the guy who calls up WFAN and goes, Mike, how about the Yankees trade Isaiah kind of Falafala for Barry Bonds Jr., Barry Bonds Sr.? You're like, put Arnold in a Tarantino movie. He'll guarantee 100 mil.
Yeah.
Well, look, Gru, we have Stallone in the Guardians franchise.
Right.
Harrison Ford is about to star in Captain America 4. And
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I'll give you my thoughts on it and everything in a second. Latest buzz has the Terminator about to join the MCU. Specifically, Arnold Schwarzenegger is rumored to appear as the villain in the Armor Wars film. I believe that's the Iron Man kind of spin-off. While speaking on Jimmy Kimmel recently, War Machine actor Don Cheadle attempted to play down the rumors, initially deadpanning that Arnold is playing Titanium Man before claiming he's never actually heard of the character. Something tells us we haven't said hasta la vista, baby, to these rumors just yet. Gru, do you even want Arnie in the MCU?
Sure. I think the MCU is boundless, so there's room for everybody in there. You put them in.
Oh yeah.
You know? Oh yeah. I mean, if it's well done, anybody works in there. I mean, the casts of those things, that's what makes them. They gotta be cast right. And, at absolute minimum, with a guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, guys like that, they're gonna come in and they're gonna give you 110%, and their 110% is worth something. They might not be the box office kings that they used to be, but they can still deliver what needs to be delivered. You know what I mean?
America! Fuck yeah!
But do you know what I mean? I mean, they're still dependable.
Well, first of all, Yeah, but you were a little sketchy on Stallone and Guardians. I remember that whatever years ago when we talked about it.
But that was before. Wait a minute. Let me answer that. Let me just answer that.
Talk over me.
No, I want to answer that.
Go ahead.
That was before I was sold on the whole Marvel thing. Once I saw Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, I was like, this shit's for real. So then I went back and watched everything. So that's post that, so.
Well, you know what I say? Hi, my name's Evan, and my pronouns are he, him. I took my nephew to Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff.
Is this an Adam Sandler Big Daddy moment?
No, but first of all, he got in and he got the full lumberjack scholarship. So congratulations, Anthony.
Nice.
I mean, over almost $50,000 of tuition. But
damn,
when we went and the student ambassador is like, "Hi, I'm Lisa. My pronouns are she, her,"
really?
And I'm just like, "Oh, you poor things." Anyway, let me get back on topic.
God.
The thing is this: I am very sketchy because I'm not happy with where the MCU is going for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not a fan of the multiverse storyline. Now, that could change because I believe Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania are really going to kick off the whole, Kang the Conqueror. You got that big baddie. That's the kind of thing I like, that big baddie villain. Let's get it going. Okay, so I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not a fan. They've softened these great characters. The Hollywood and, dare I say, just a tad bit of wokeness. I'm just scared for Harrison Ford and Captain America 4. And now with Stallone and Guardians, that's James Gunn. He's been kind of an outsider that's gotten on the inside because he does such great work, and his movies seem to be entertaining and not get overly messagey, and they're just a lot of fun. And I think Stallone's in a good spot with James Gunn. I just don't know about the other things. Arnold as Titanium Man. I'm skeptical, but listen, I'm an Arnold fan, so I'll give it a chance if it goes down.
Well, James Gunn is. Have you been reading about James Gunn the last couple days?
I know that he took over DC and he kind of cut like The Rock out of it, and I mean he's made some cuts and nothing more than that. I mean, if you want to give me a quick blip,
he's just like dismantling it inside and out, and the fanboys are having a fucking shit fit over it. It's hilarious to watch. It's like, Jesus Christ, chill out. It's a goddamn movie.
Of course, Andrew, we've already said anything internet universe related, it's very demonstrative, but I don't think there's a lot behind it. I've said this about the internet wrestling community. I've said this also about social media. They'll blast a movie and it'll still go out and make $250 million.
Yeah, you're right.
And
which is not a lot these days.
All right. Well, wouldn't you say that DC has definitely been a mixed bag? Maybe it's good for a guy.
Well, that's the thing. And I know we're getting off on a tangent here, but that's the very thing, because they're having a shit fit over the fact that The Rock brought Henry Cavill back as Superman at the end of Black Adam, signaling he was back as that character. Then here comes James Gunn saying, no, we're going in a different direction. We're rebooting the whole thing. And everyone's having a complete conniption over that guy being kicked out. But none of those movies were considered very good. Man of Steel wasn't very successful.
No, it wasn't.
Batman vs. Superman, people hated that movie from what I remember. I didn't like it either.
Ironically enough, I didn't hate it, but
it was nothing special.
Successful.
And I still haven't sat through Justice League because it's very difficult to sit through. So what's everyone...
You didn't sit through the 4.5 hour Snyder cut?
I didn't even sit through the 2.5 hour whatever other cut. But I'm saying, what are people people didn't like this dude in the first place. So what's the, what? Just because someone's coming in and messing with your precious shit? I mean, it's not even precious.
and that was another Andrew Gruthius rant.
Yeah. I should make a jingle for that. I should make a jingle for that.
Yeah, well, good. We could work on that. But in all seriousness, we've said the same thing about Black Adam. Black Adam made, I think, a lot of money, might have slightly underperformed, but it's what we said. Rock, one-note performance, movie, special effects. And I think there's a story there. I do think there's an interesting story because I think James Gunn, I don't know if it's something to do with The Rock, but he kind of slipped through the back door and he certainly did pull those plans. But in terms of the fanboys complaining, I mean, if I don't see Black Adam versus Henry Cavill, I'll survive.
Listen, the problem, the reason that everybody on the Marvel side, that it's sort of taken a dip is because everybody was on board with as you introduced everybody and they kind of came together, and then you had the whole Infinity Saga. All right. Now, once Endgame happened, everything kind of fell apart because nothing was really truly connected anymore. So, it kind of went off in little tangents and people had mixed feelings about it. So they gotta find a way. They gotta get a story. Before they get a star, they gotta get a story.
Well, I just think the movies haven't been good. I mean, flat out.
Which ones are you talking about? Because I haven't seen.
We did a podcast on Doctor Strange.
Right.
Even Moni, who's a younger generation, I don't think it was a
that was Doctor Strange 2, right?
Yeah, none of us hated it, but none of us loved it.
Okay, agreed.
And
think I walked out.
I don't want to get into it here on the podcast, but you and I have talked off air about Thor.
Right.
So I mean, the movies itself have not been great.
True.
And
Love and Thunder was bad.
I don't think they've helped themselves with this multiverse storyline, and I agree with you. That's why I'm going to give it a chance with the Ant-Man and Quantumania and then Guardians. Hopefully they'll build some momentum. And all right, enough with the MC.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about? You want to hear about Bonnie Bedelia talking about Bruce Willis and Die Hard?
Yeah. Give me anything on Bruce Willis right now. I love hearing good stuff about Bruce Willis.
She and I think there's something to it. I don't know. I don't have the website, but she said Bruce Willis. There's a lot of pressure on Bruce Willis because I thought about the sports analogy. He made a big time salary. He made over $5 million for the first Die Hard film. And that off camera, he was mocked by a lot of his Hollywood brethren and faced a lot of pressure because he was seen as just a TV guy and got a big ass salary for an action movie and was considered unproven. Now, Bruce Willis apparently put the good word in for Bonnie Bedelia. He had seen her in the movie Heart Like a Wheel. Remember seeing that as a younger man on HBO about the first female drag racer. And reportedly Bruce Willis was floored by Bedelia's performance, so he recommended her for the part of Holly Gennaro. They got her in here. Bonnie Bedelia said his salary was viewed as problematic by those in Hollywood. A lot of people scoffed at the $5 million salary attached to the project. Bedelia told People magazine it was kind of like a big thing when he got this because he was just on Moonlighting. This was his first movie. He was the star of a huge blockbuster, and it was very well advertised that he was making over $5 million, which at the time was unbelievable. Everybody was like, why would you pay $5 million to an untried movie star? But boy, somebody was really smart. And of course the article goes on to say that, obviously Die Hard became a huge hit. And my notes end with, I wasn't really aware that Bruce Willis made such a tentpole salary for Die Hard. I wasn't really aware of this. So any thoughts on Bruce Willis, the $5 million man?
$5 million for Die Hard in 1988. $5 million for anybody was big at that time. So for Bruce Willis, who I won't go as far to say, I guess unproven as like a big box office behemoth, yes, but he had a couple movies. He was in a moderate hit. He starred in a moderate hit. I think it was a moderate hit called Blind Date, which was actually really funny.
I remember
Blake Edwards made that, so he wasn't exactly a rookie. But $5 million.
Was he completely new to the action genre?
Yes, that was definitely his first action. Except I think I never saw what he did on Miami Vice. I just know he had some kind of minor role on Miami Vice.
Wait. you saying Bruce Willis was on the television show Miami Vice?
Yeah, I think he might have done one episode or something, but a notable episode. I don't know.
Look how Gru just drops this little Easter egg like he's so knowledgeable. Like, oh yeah.
I remember reading something that he was on Miami Vice.
He was in Miami Vice.
I might be wrong.
Season 2.
I don't think I've ever actually watched an episode of Miami Vice.
In the air tonight. Go ahead.
Glenn Fry was in.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I apologize. I was just trying to throw some funny.
No.
I mean, so $5 million was a lot of money.
Yeah,
him is quite untried as a box office.
Well, $5 million was a lot for anybody. I think. Okay. I don't think people were making $20 million a movie yet. I think that started with I want to say Jim Carrey. Or maybe even John Travolta, and when he came back in the mid-90s, I remember they were getting $20 million a movie, and that was considered groundbreaking. So $5 million in '88, I think, was Die Hard. That's a lot of money for that time. So, yeah, without a doubt.
Do you remember who the first $1 million, was it Dave Winfield? Was he the first $1 million baseball guy?
I thought it was Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's one of what Winfield did something. Winfield might have done something.
Was his contract over 2-digit million, maybe over 10 million?
I don't think so. He might have had something to do with free agency. But yeah. I think Ryan was the first $1 million pitcher. I'm pretty sure of that.
I think I watched a little bit. Maybe HBO Max, they have that documentary, Facing Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I want to watch the Willie Mays one, too.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. All right, Gru. Species is a 1995 American science fiction horror film directed by Roger Donaldson. Stars Ben Kingsley, Michael Madsen, Alfred Molina, Forrest Whitaker, Marge Helgenberger, and Natasha Henstridge in her film debut role. Film's plot concerns a motley crew of scientists and government agents who try to track down Syl, a seductive extraterrestrial human hybrid, before she successfully mates with a human male. Ooh, I'm hot and bothered already. Today's Van Dammit podcast, Species, is brought to you by New You Life Center, making you fall fabulous. Follow New You Life Center on Instagram at New You Life Center to take advantage of their specials and monthly giveaways. Check out all of their medical weight loss programs at www.newyouLifecenters.com. Give them a call, 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Gru sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. New You Life Center's Phoenix Premier Med Spa for Botox, fillers, laser, aesthetics, weight loss, and hormone optimization. A big Van Dammit thank you to Maria New You Life Center.
When are we getting that new jingle, Marie? Time to start singing for us.
She has the old one. I sent it to her. So
the old one was soon the old one will be relevant again because it was exactly. Are you ready for summer? That was the old one.
We got a slow turnaround time here for on Spreaker and the Nothing Worthwhile Van Dammit podcast. You want to get a little in depth on the background of the script of Species?
I actually would because there's some fascinating stuff here.
No joking,
for me.
Seriously. No
yes, joking. I actually do. Go.
Well, okay. Well, it's a little. I'll try to cut through it a little bit here and there. Writer Dennis Feldman had the idea for Species in 1987. He worked on another film about an alien invasion titled Real Men. He read an article by Arthur C. Clarke about the insurmountable odds against an extraterrestrial craft locating and visiting Earth. Given that stellar distances are great, faster than light travel, Feldman started to think about it was unsophisticated for any alien culture to come here in what he described as a big tin can. So then he considered what would be the possibility of an extraterrestrial contact through information. Then he detailed that the message would contain instructions from across the void to build something that would talk to men instead of a mechanical device. Feldman imagined wetware. Now, Gru, what is wetware?
Wetware.
Wetware is used to describe elements equivalent to hardware and software found in a person. So that would be like our central nervous system and human mind. I don't know too much about wetware. I know about wet dream, but not wetware.
Well, wet dream ends up in wetware. So,
well, yes.
Hey-o!
We need hardware to get. Okay, anyway,
hardware to get the wetware to get
exactly. It's just like what is that? Kevin Bacon 7 to wetware.
6 degrees of wetware.
Did you see, real quick, speaking of Kevin Bacon, did you see the Guardians of Galaxy holiday special on Disney Plus?
Not yet. People have told me it's okay.
All right, well, I'll save my thoughts. We'll see it and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So he wrote a film treatment called The Message. The original script had the alien being created by a bathtub geneticist. Yeah, I guess.
Isn't that someone who messes with like DNA?
Yeah, but in a bathtub, that could be sexy.
Yeah.
He had the project aborted by the government.
Oh, that explains that line from the movie about, hey, they didn't find any of the guys' schmutz in the bathtub. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Check if they had sex.
Yeah.
So anyway, he changed, so it would be like a police officer and a group of biologists searching for a creature. Then he changed the protagonist to government team, and then he coined the name SIL. He thought about forming an acronym, but instead chose only the 3-letter name after learning the specifics of the genetic code, which can be represented in groups of 3 letters. SIL would originally emerge from a DNA sequence manipulating human DNA and constantly mutating, as she would use junk DNA to access all of the defenses of the entire animal kingdom that humans evolved through. So you can see some of the beginnings of the species script. This was offered to several studios. It was passed up. In 1993, Feldman reworked his ideas again. This one was sent to producer Frank Mancuso Jr. And let's see here. Metron Golden Mayer got interested on the project. Feldman had some initial disagreements on the budget. After considering other studios, he signed with MGM. In turn, the now retitled Species attracted director Roger Donaldson, who was attracted to its blend of science fiction and thriller. The script underwent 8 different drafts, written over just an 8-month period, before Donaldson was content that all the flaws in the story's logic had been corrected. The initial Species script suggested a love triangle between Sil and 2 government team members. The dissatisfaction of the crew eventually led to changes to the ending, which ended up featuring Sil having a baby that would immediately prove dangerous. Real quick, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, 8 different drafts, 8 months. Does that spell a little bit of trouble to you off the top?
Usually, yeah. And that surprises me, but for a movie that really, if you think about it, has a ridiculously simple plot. It's basically Starman and the Terminator sort of combined. I mean, there's not much to it. It's about the government sends a signal out. They get a response, and instead of being a friendly response like Starman, it's a bad guy like the Terminator who's coming down to try to take over everything. And it's really all about how humans cause their own extinction. So, I mean, it's like, it surprises me that there's so much detail going into what is essentially a very simple story, no?
Well, good night, everybody. That's Andrew's final, well, I think really to boil down at the heart of it, it's again a chase movie.
Yeah.
And when done well, most science fiction action movies, again, we got to get a package here, we got to get the bad guy or the bad girl here before they can get to X, Y, and Z. I was just curious, I mean, when reading this, 8 drafts in 8 months, I mean, if you put it in a sports analogy, 8 starting lineups, that's
well, yeah. I mean, it's all, they always say that when there are too many cooks in the kitchen, it always spells trouble. It's like when they say there are 19 producers. That means there are 19 hands in the cookie jar that decide, equally. Then you got 12 different writers. So yeah, it's not a good sign when there is so much uncertainty about what is the final product. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Roger Donaldson was announced as the director formally in 1994. Frank Mancuso Jr., the producer, stated that most of the, I'm just going to say it up front, most of the $35 million budget would be spent on effects.
You just gave it away, you douche.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say 40. I was gonna say 40.
I apologize.
Don't give away the box office. I have my prediction. I'm not going to give away the box office. All right.
Oh, Lord, douche. Douche. Fuck you.
Douche.
Frank Mancuso said they would use most of that on effects as, quote, it's not a movie that calls for stars. We're going to try and put as much money as we can below the line and allow the effects and the
Hang on. I think we lost his connection. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. I lost. Go back about 10 seconds. You went mute first. There you go.
Frank Mancuso said most of the $35 million budget would be spent on effects, as it's, quote, not a movie that calls for stars. We're going to try and put as much money as we can below the line, allow the effects and the creature to be the highlights of the film. There's going to be less of an emphasis on actors, possibly why they got a newcomer in Natasha Henstridge, a former model. And I already kind of asked you. I kind of asked you about the eight drafts, lots of rewrites, but then also the quote from the producer: "Money spent on effects, not on actors."
But
are you troubled by that, or any thoughts?
Well,
about that?
I'm troubled if you say it. Like, I'm troubled if that's what they're going to do, but that's not what they did.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay, fine. That's all right.
You want to go right to the cast?
Well, I was just going to say that's obviously not the way it went, because I was going to say it goes a little in the opposite direction.
Well, let's stick to just the cast.
Okay, all right. Okay? So, let's stick to the answer to your question for this. Is yes, it's not what you want to hear. It's not what you want to hear.
8 rewrites. The producer says, "Hey, we want to spend money on effects, not actors."
Yeah, it's like it's like nobody wants. It's like this. I'm surprised it got made under those pretenses.
All right. Well,
that's even a word.
Are you familiar with the director for Species, Roger Donaldson?
The only thing I know of that he did, I'm sure he did a movie called Cadillac Man with Robin Williams and Tim Robbins.
Yes,
that's a really good movie. Really underrated, underseen, and I really, really like it. And I know there are other ones that he's done that are considered really good, that I'm just drawing a blank on.
Would you like me to give you a couple of quick hits of his filmography?
Please.
1984, The Bounty.
Yes, Mel Gibson.
No Way Out.
Oh yeah, that was a huge hit. Kevin Costner, Sean Young in the limo.
Yeah.
You've seen that one. Gene Hackman too.
I have seen that one. 1988, Cocktail. I saw that in the theaters.
Hell, we all did. Who didn't?
That was Tom Cruise and
Brian Brown, but Elizabeth Shue in the waterfall there.
That's right. As Gru mentioned, 1990, Cadillac Man.
This week in male chauvinism.
1992, White Sands. 1994, The Getaway.
Oh,
1995.
Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger.
Yeah. 1995, Species. 1997, Dante's Peak.
Yeah,
that was Pierce Brosnan volcano movie.
Disaster movie. So he had, he was, I would say he's almost top tier. He's working with the big boys.
2013 Days, 2003 The Recruit.
13 Days. That's a great movie. Have you seen that? That's about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
And that's
Kevin Costner and Bruce Greenwood. Really good movie. 13 Days. Wow, I'm impressed. This guy's stock is he still around? Is he doing anything now?
He finished up with 2008 The Bank Job and 2014 the November Man. I don't know any of those.
I remember The Bank Job. I don't know the November. Is he dead?
I believe he's still alive.
Oh.
He was knighted 2018, the Queen's birthday honors. He was appointed as Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit for services to film.
Wow, good for him.
2003, The Recruit. That was Al Pacino, Colin Farrell.
Oh my God, he's worked with everybody. So yeah. He's a big shot. He's probably somewhat of like a. I don't want to use it. It's a derogatory term.
Oh no.
Like no, not in that way. It's like they have hacks out there who basically get hired.
Get our attorney.
No.
On the phone.
They call them hacks. They're just people who are like they're just hired to, hey, we got the script, come and direct it, instead of like being a huge part of the development process and like being, like doing more personal movies, like
okay.
And I don't know if Donaldson falls into that category, but either way, it doesn't matter because he's got a very impressive filmography there. So good for him.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Let's go to the design. Syl was designed by Swiss artist H.R. Geiger. You know anything about H.R. Geiger?
No, but I love his work. And I'm hoping that I can retain his services in the future to create a similar we're talking about the same thing, right?
Well, he's the guy who created the creatures for the Alien films.
Oh, I thought you meant he created Natasha Henstridge.
Well, he did, but I mean, he didn't create it. Natasha Henstridge is a human being. I mean, a man and a woman, a sperm traveled in.
You mean
anyway
in the hot tub?
You're not aware of H.R. Geiger? Like,
no.
He's a world famous artist, and he's been in. His designs were in all those Alien films.
No.
Okay,
honestly.
well, Donaldson thought Geiger was the best man for the film after reading. He has a compendium. I think I've seen some of it. It's called Necromonicon, but it's basically a lot of those sort of his artwork of the alien and sort of that industrial kind of
right.
look.
Okay.
And Donaldson and Mancuso flew to Switzerland to meet him. Geiger was given an opportunity to design a monster in another way. Now this one is going to be aesthetic, sensual, deadly, looking like a woman.
Oh yeah.
Geiger opted to stay in Switzerland and take care of his dying mother instead of flying to LA to accompany production. He built some puppets in his own studio, faxed sketches and airbrush paintings as production went through. Geiger had envisioned more stages of Syl's transformation, but the film only employed the last one, where she is transparent outside and black inside, like a glass body but with carbon inside. So he was unhappy with many of the elements that he found similar to his other films. Obviously, the Alien franchise. He sent a fax to Frank Mancuso pointing out 5 similarities. A chest burster. So we know Syl.
That's guess like
originally,
Alien.
Right. I guess originally Syl. Okay. I guess Syl gave birth. Echoed the infant alien breaking out of its host's chest.
You mean Alfred Molina's kid? That
yeah.
one?
Oh, I feel it. Oh, young lassie. Yeah.
Oh, God.
The creature having a punching tongue, that's definitely a similarity.
I like that.
Cocoon, that's definitely a similarity to Aliens. The use of flamethrowers, which, obviously, Ripley made popular, especially in the Aliens. And having Geiger himself as the creature designer.
Stick with what works. He probably cost a fortune, though.
Well, he did influence the ending of the movie. Apparently the ending was going to be Syl. I mean, this is nothing, we'll talk about the movie obviously, but Syl's death in the original script was with fire. He felt that was too similar to Alien 3 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, so they changed it to the headshot. Michael Madsen, I think, gets her in the head, and that's it. So, Gru, the very well-known artist-designer for Aliens, also had his work shown in Species. I ask you, I have some thoughts as well. Was it too derivative? Syl, was it too derivative of the Alien sort of vibe?
I don't think so. I actually found that a little bit endearing in a way. I saw this as kind of like a sister movie to that in the same realm. I was surprised that it wasn't as much as I thought, but in the same, but to answer your question, it didn't bother me at all. I liked it. I really enjoyed the inventiveness of the Alien. You never really knew what it was going to do. And every time you saw it, it seemed to like come up with some kind of new way to destroy, like literally destroy, not just kill someone, just like rip the life out of them. So I found it inventive, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I was really bothered by, Syl's design. I think overall I'll save my overall thoughts for my final review of the movie because I think it really dovetails into the final review. But I think definitely Species and Aliens will always be, fans will always look at that. I don't know about brother sister, but they'll always look at that because of the Geiger design and perhaps some of the vague similarities of the film. Like hearing your comments about a brother-sister, I was thinking of like Cloverfield, like perhaps could these movies have existed in the same expanded universe, I
see this in the to be quite honest, I have not seen Cloverfield. And I know I'm supposed to. But I haven't seen Cloverfield.
Well, we'll save that for another time. But
I see this. Like I said, I mean, the joke is that it's a cross between Starman and Terminator. But as far as the realm of it, I see it as more of like Alien meets Terminator in a way. That's, it's the Terminator story with the Alien, design, I guess. We set something up which is now turning on us and looking to destroy us. So on that context, the Alien design is exactly what it should be. It didn't, was there criticism?
I think Geiger himself was critical. I'm going to save, we don't want to get to a halt here, but We'll save the reviews for the main, but Geiger himself, I think, was critical of, the similarities.
Well, he should hang out with Billy Joel because they seem to have the same approach to their work. But, I have no problem with it.
Way to wedge a Billy Joel reference right into the middle of.
Hey, we're trying. That's kind of what we do.
You got to be a big shot, did ya? Let's talk about influence and themes. Dr. Laura Baker, Marge Helgenberger's character speculates if Syl is indeed a biological weapon sent by a species who thought humans were like an intergalactic weed. Feldman declared that he wanted to explore the theme further in the script as it discussed mankind's place in the universe and how other civilizations could perceive and relate to humanity, considering that maybe humans are not potential threats, maybe just competitors for the same resource. Writing for the Journal of Popular Film and Television, this is where we get into some of these sort of, weird themes, but Susan George authored a paper that dealt with the portrayal of procreation and species in the movies Gattaca and Mimic and even Alien, and Aliens have had some sort of academic papers written on sort of how they see motherhood and sexuality. George compared the character of Fitch to an updated Dr. Frankenstein and explores the development of Sill's maternal aspirations, which convert the character into an archaic mother figure, similar to the xenomorph creature in the Alien series, both of which are, she claims, portrayed negatively. Well, you can't deny that. George further states that the recurring theme in science fiction films is a response to a kind of powerful female sexuality and a, quote, alienness, in that the feminine monster must die, as Sill does at the end of Species. Feldman himself considered that an underlying theme regarding a female arriving and seeking to find a superior mate. We're not going to get into it too deep, Gru, but it's been hypothesized many times over that Aliens was an allegory for sex. The monster was portraying almost like, if I could say, like almost like a rape fantasy of sorts. Are you buying these academia positing Species as one of sexuality, females' motherhood, all of which can be viewed perhaps negatively by the film?
No. I mean, and that's because that's not what the movie is. You don't, you know, whenever there's...
Are they digging a bit too deep here?
Yes. Yeah. That's what, at least that's what I think. I mean, maybe there was meant to be subtext, but you don't think about that when things are moving too fast. Things are just, this movie flies, and there's no room to stop and think about, really, are we alone in the universe? You almost even lose that whole thing because it's, as you said 5 minutes in, it's a chase movie.
Well, the author is not talking about chase. The author is talking about specifically how females and motherhood is viewed in these science fiction movies.
Okay.
Female is always hyper aggressive. The female is always a killer. The female always has to end up getting killed before. Let me reframe it. Do you like, for example, a couple of years ago when I first met Marie, we went to the Arizona State University. They had a lecture on Blade Runner. And we watched the film, and they gave out wine and cheese, and there was a lot of academia types, and they talked about very high concept academia themes with this movie. Do you buy into that? Is that, as a movie fan, do you like that stuff, or is it just kind of looking for stuff that's not there, or, hey, let's enjoy it for entertainment purposes, let's not get too wacky bajacky?
It doesn't bother me at all, and I like it when I want it, and when I don't, let others do it. I think it's fine to do that. People do it with all kinds of art. You know, you can look at a painting of just blue and get a whole universe out of it. So I have no problem with that. And maybe that exists here. I think the thing that gets in the way of it is the execution. Meaning the way it's made. You're not thinking about that. It might be there in like one of the previous 7 drafts. You know, there might be more. Like, for example, think of the Terminator. All right. Number one, the Terminator movies, especially the second one, it's like 45 minutes longer, and there's a lot more prophesizing. There's a lot more discussion about, you know, the literal situation that's going on. This is what's going to happen. This is what we need to do. This is who we are. This is who we're meant to be. All of that stuff. And for whatever reason, it truly, truly works. Here, there's no room for that. That's not I'm not saying that as a bad thing.
I don't, okay, but here's my thing. The author's not saying that. The author is looking at the material and she's a hypothesis. She's theorizing that this is what the movie, the subtext of the movie, and I guess Feldman, I don't.
An argument could be made.
But I don't disagree with you either. The Terminator thing, that's actual part of the makeup of the movie. Here, they don't get very high and mighty. I will say, without giving away my full review, this does still have a very B movie feel to it.
Yes.
So it doesn't. So the delivery is not high concept, but the material may have.
Okay, so what I'll say is that I'll look at it as, yes, she has every right to look at it that way. Very valid points. And I look at it as the same as someone analyzing the ending to The Sopranos. It's whatever you want it to be, and anything is valid, as long as it's something worth thinking about. So that, what you just described to me, is a very interesting way to look at this movie, and if I watch it again, I might look at it through that kind of lens. That's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy seeing movies again through different lenses. So that's certainly something I'd think about.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this again. I'm going to go on Tubi, the free movie app, and I'm going to put my glasses on the bridge of my nose. Take out a pipe and
wine. Well, yeah.
Smoke some locally sourced tobacco.
I'm talking, 2-3 days from now. I mean, years from now.
Well, listen, I do know, I do know Alien. They've sort of always talked about those themes, and yes, I did go to see a academic lecture on Blade Runner, and
I would do that in a second.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but it was a fun night. I enjoy that movie.
Do they have do they have discussions, or is it just lecture?
They stopped the movie, and they paused, and it was like 6 professors were on the stage. They talked about set design, fashion, in depth.
But can you talk? Do you ask questions?
I believe there were questions. I didn't ask anything. I just went for the experience. I'd never gone to anything like that before. But again, if you want to make a Billy Joel reference, if he could do a Q&A, why not see something about a movie where you have some quote-unquote experts?
And again, getting off on a little thing here, but they used to, and I think they still do, in LA, when I lived there, at the Directors Guild building, they used to have these TV things. It was called the Paley Fest, and I could just tell you the ones that I saw, and they were cheap. They were like $10. You go there, you watch an episode. I go and watch an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and then there's a panel with the entire cast. Larry David, Jeff Garlin, all of them. We did that for St. Elsewhere. So you have all the St. Elsewhere people, including Howie Mandel and Denzel Washington. So they do a lot of those things, and they're really, really cool.
Pretty cool, Andrew.
It's good to hear that you do that too.
Yeah. All right, we talked about the cast. Let's go over it specifically. Ben Kingsley as Xavier Fitch, Michael Madsen as Preston Lennox, Alfred Molina, Dr. Stephen Arden, Forrest Whitaker as Dan Smithson, Marg Helgenberger as Dr. Laura Baker.
Yeah, don't tell me you're cheaping out on the cast here.
Okay, so, and I just, of course, as Andrew wedged his way in, but I had a line, right? I had a line under my notes referencing the quote from Frank Mancuso Jr., saying most of the budget would be spent on effects, but it seems to be, on the surface, a very deep and impressive cast here for Species. My only question is, did they get some of these folks young in the game? Alfred Molina looks very young in this. Forrest Whitaker, I think, is very young. Madsen was a fairly well-established name. Kingsley was as well. Marg Helgenberger was a TV gal, I believe, for most of her career. Natasha Henstridge is an unknown, beautiful, but an unknown. My only question is, did he get some of these before they really blew up?
Yes, but no.
Yes, but no. Come on.
Yes, but no. Meaning that none of them were at the height of their powers, but they were all above the line above the line names.
Molina
was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Molina goes back for a long time. So, this was not like 95. Molina was a very well-known character actor back then. Helgenberger, yes, she was on TV, but she was, I think, the star or the female lead on the CSI thing, right? Or one of those.
Yeah, but CSI was way after this deal.
way after. So she, maybe, but Madsen was coming off of like Reservoir Dogs and Thelma and Louise, so he was hot back then. Kingsley won an Oscar. He was making a lot of these kind of movies back then, like the, kind of like, not
money grabs.
No, not, well, maybe money grabs, but he's really good in them. But he was 2 years off of Schindler's List, for God's sake. So Ben Kingsley is not a small get here.
I didn't say that. Kingsley and Madsen, I'll give you. My only question to you was, did he get the others on the rise up instead of at the big free agent contract?
On the others, all right. I'll give. Well, Henstridge.
I don't know.
Henstridge definitely, because it was her first. But the answer is on those two. On Melina, yes. On who was the other one you said?
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker was pretty well known at the time. He had done. He'd been around for a while. But aside from that. Looking in the background, everybody is a familiar face. There are character actors all over this movie, people whose names we don't know, but faces we'd recognize in a second. So they did not skimp on the casting at all.
All right, listen, I'm not doing another Paul Ben Victor filmography, okay, so screw you. All right. Species Time grew 1 hour, 48 minutes, and it's rated R for, sci-fi violence, strong sexuality, and some language. Very liberal with the nudity.
Yes.
For one Miss Henstridge. Any thoughts on the nudity? Do you think maybe she regrets that today? All that nudity?
Honestly, I don't know, because the only other thing...
I'm asking you, supposition, put yourself, asking you for an opinion.
No. I hope not. No. I don't think she regrets it. I don't think she regrets it, but Helgenberger shows she gets a little nip slip in there too.
That's a great.
Yeah.
Great.
I was surprised by that little competition.
Well, we'll get to that in 1 second. Guru, let's just real quick, 1993, search for extraterrestrial life. Transmission received detailing an alien DNA structure along with instructions on how to splice it into human DNA. The result is Syl, a sensual but deadly creature who can change from a beautiful woman to an armor-plated killing machine in the blink of an eye. Government agent Xavier Fitch assembles a team of scientists and mercenaries to locate and destroy Syl before she manages to find a mate and breed. Gru, you want to do some fun facts?
Sure.
All right,
let's have some fun facts. Are we ready for some fun facts?
Take a sip of. I'm ready.
We're ready. All right. The debut of fun facts.
Nothing Worthwhile presents Fun Facts.
All right, Fun Facts is brought to you by New Life Center. Now, they going to be able to hear us? Are you playing the musical bed underneath us while we're talking?
Just tell me about the fun facts.
Oh, come on. I'm asking you.
Yes.
All right, fun
the answer is yes.
Andrew, during the production, MGM opted not to shoot the Nightmare train sequence to keep costs down. H.R. Geiger was not willing to accept that. However, so he spent $100,000 of his own money to finance the sequence.
What?
Yeah.
The guy who's getting paid to make the aliens is spending his own cash to make the aliens.
To make that nightmare train sequence, which I think is the first semi-detailed shot you get of Syl.
Alright, doesn't make much sense. Maybe he's got some like back-end deal or something, but that's a weird fact there. But okay. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Back end. Michael Madsen once claimed that this was one of the few movies he had done that he was proud of, but referred to the film's sequel as lousy and admitted he only did it for a paycheck. But
Shh. Well. And how many movies can you say that about?
Okay, I mean,
I didn't see the sequel, so
IMDb has hundreds of these. I cut it down to a select few that I thought maybe you would find interesting to riff about.
No, he's got a lot more. He's got a lot of explaining to do on his filmography.
I would imagine actors like you, like regular people, take sometimes projects just for the do-re-mi.
Yeah.
From the scene in which Syl is born from the cocoon, the train set was built upside down. Natasha Henstridge, totally naked and covered in KY jelly.
Oh, yeah.
Was pushed through the cocoon, and the shot was flipped upside down afterward to achieve the effect of her falling out.
That's a great scene.
I am touching myself.
It was a great scene.
Andrew, you referenced it earlier. Michael Madsen and Mark Helgenberger were allowed to improvise their sex scene, and you do get a nip shot on Mark.
Yes, a very surprising nip slip.
I don't think it's a slip. I think it's
it's very quick, but a couple of pauses on the Apple TV thing there, and it works very well.
You get enough meat on that shot. I'm being serious.
Yes.
It's not a slip.
And I'm surprised because she's not one of those people who you would think would be, but I guess, she saw the other girl strutting around, strutting her, 20-year-old body around the screen. She's like, let me show what my 45-year-old hips can do. I don't think she was that old, but.
Yeah, and I think even the scene sort of infers a little oral sex action as well.
Infers?
All right, well, anyway. All right, I'm going to jail for that comment. Thank you. Fitch's comment that they made Syl female to be more docile is an in-joke that reveals his ignorance. In many predatory species, the female is more aggressive. I don't know why I include that stuff.
All right, great.
Let's see. Pierce Brosnan was offered a part in the movie, but declined due to scheduling conflicts with GoldenEye, 1995. He worked with Roger Donaldson on Dante's Peak, 1997.
What role would that have been?
Maybe the
Kingsley role? The Ben Kingsley role?
Kingsley, maybe.
Maybe the Molina role.
I think Pierce was too handsome for that one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, good point.
Species had the exact same tagline as the Deborah Winger thriller Black Widow. She mates, she kills.
I remember that movie. Yeah. Teresa Russell. Remember her?
Yes.
Teresa Russell. There's like a lesbian scene where she in like the pool or something. Gotta check that out. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Thank you. Syl is an ectogen, a person who was or being gestated in an artificial womb.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Just a who?
Ectogen. Gestated.
Right.
Geiger had, now this is interesting, I think. Geiger had envisioned more stages of Syl's transformation, but the film, as we said, only employed the last one. Geiger envisioned Syl glowing with red-orange heat, getting brighter and brighter as she got angrier or felt more threatened. The studio claimed such a thing would be impossible, and when Geiger had test designs made to show it could be done, they still refused. Now, I think that's bullshit.
I do too.
H.R. Geiger is like a world-renowned. You get him on your lineup, you gotta go with what, I mean, he's a specialist. You gotta go with him, right, Gru?
Yeah, he says, the pro says you do. I mean, that's just, I learned that working in the movie business. No, I'm serious.
I know, he's gonna be like, when Marty.
No, I just remember many instances where movie stars would make demands that seemed very frivolous, but when you see what they do with these things and how it contributes to what they're trying to do, you think, you know what? This guy's saying this is what he needs to do this kind of thing. You give it to him. So,
okay, agreed.
So I see that. And that's disappointing. Cause that would have been cool. That would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have added maybe some more elements to the Syl character. A deleted scene was cut would be the team was using a computer simulation to see how fast it would take for the effects of cell mating, and then the progeny also mating. As they watch in horror, dots of red flash across the world and then turn into a wave until within a decade the human race is extinct. That would have been cool, but we've seen a million shots like that in movies.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Our computer analysis will project.
Yeah, that would have brought the movie to a screeching halt.
In 2 weeks, mankind will be dead. Natasha Henstridge was considered for the role of Jill Valentine, as seen in the early draft of Resident Evil 2002, as well as the sequel Resident Evil Apocalypse. Supplemental materials for Resident 2 credit Species as one of the inspirations for the game franchise, which features male victims of monster inbreeding and female characters who mutate into grotesque but sexually attractive creatures. The reason why I included this was I could see Natasha Henstridge in like the Resident Evil franchise, like that like badass heroine, in the future, dystopian, kind of deal.
Well, I've never seen any of the Resident Evil things. I don't know anything about them, but based on your description, I'm interested in them now.
Well, that was, Mila Jovovich. She was in that Arnold Schwarzenegger commercial that we showed. So she's the female lead in all those Resident Evil movies.
But I've never seen any of them, so I don't even know what they're all about.
Really, you'll like this one. Species is named one of the films we only watch for nudity by the website Horrorland.
What website is that?
Horrorland.
Hey, let me write that down. Harborland?
Yeah. Horrorland.
Yeah,
let me write that down too.
Horrorland. Horrorland.com or something?
I guess, maybe.
/ RedTube?
Yeah. Michael Madsen signed on immediately at the chance to play a hero for a change.
Good point. Yeah,
Sir Ben
he was great. Are we going to talk about, is this where we're talking about the cast?
I mean, you can. I'm just going through some
talk about cliches, but in the best possible way. Like,
I mean, doesn't he always play sort of the casual, cool guy?
He's the cynical guy. He's gonna wear the 3 layers. He's gonna wear the blazer with the open shirt down so you can see just a little bit of the wife beater underneath. And he's gonna be the guy who's like, who are you? I'm the guy your mom told you not to talk to. He's like, every line he says is another, 40s noirish quip, and, you could see that right away. And you know what? The shit works for this movie. So Madsen was great. Madsen really was great.
Sir Ben Kingsley, Forrest Whitaker, Alfred Molina, Michelle Williams, who was a child in this movie.
That was Michelle. Wait. Michelle Williams. That was the 12-year-old Syl. Yeah. I knew she looked familiar. Yeah, I didn't even notice. And I saw Michelle Williams in the credit at the beginning, but then when the movie started, I just didn't even think about, even looking for her. I didn't realize how long ago the movie was made. Wow. I didn't realize.
They all starred in Marvel comic book films. Molina starred in Spider-Man 2. Kingsley starred in Iron Man 3, which that was they actually they almost like what do they call when you go back and they changed that character. They even brought him back in Shang-Chi to kind of rewrite because Iron Man 3 was so they kind of so shitty.
Like when you do something to pretend that the other movie didn't exist.
Yeah, he played like the Mandarin, but he was an actor who was playing a role as a bad guy, and then they just retconned it.
Like Terminator Dark Fate did with all the movies that came after Terminator 2. They retcon everything.
Well,
that
was even worse. That was even worse. Yeah. Forrest Whitaker starred in Black Panther, and Michelle Williams starred in Venom, both in 2018. Michelle Williams was in Venom wearing a very bad wig. That's what I remember.
Where's Mark Helgenberger these days?
I don't know. The film's cast include 2 Oscar winners, Sir Ben Kingsley, Forrest Whitaker, and 1 Oscar nominee, Michelle Williams.
Mm-hmm. Natasha Henstridge wasn't nominated for an Oscar for this movie?
No, she was nominated for Films We Only Watch for Nudity by Horrorland.
Mm-hmm.
Very prestigious.
That's horrorland.com. Let me make sure I have that down.
Yes.
Yeah, horrorland.com.
In terms of continuity, Syl is in the process of removing the swimwear from the hot tub guy when the good guys show up to get her. But after she notices they arrive for her, the swim shorts on the guy seem to be pulled back up to the guy's waist.
Yeah. Well, she wanted to make sure they didn't realize that they had... Wait a minute. No, he had pulled them back up. Was that the guy who was trying to, stop her?
No. Yes, he was like, slow down.
Yeah. So he I don't think he ever let his pants get down to,
Then I guess this website is completely wrong.
I'm trying to remember the two guys that she was trying to, whatever. But
well, the one guy she killed because he was diabetic and he wouldn't have been a suitable mate. The first guy,
right. But that guy was kind of a dick, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was like
almost like inferring like rape. Almost.
Right. Then the next guy was like almost a gentleman.
Nice. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so of course he buys it.
I don't know if you want it, but in terms of continuity, they say at the end of the movie, the alien son, his private parts is a certain snippy snip, and how could that be? Because he would not have had any ability to be snipped.
So you're saying the alien baby is Jewish?
Yes, he had a moil and a couple of drips of wine.
Isn't Alfred Molina Jewish? I actually think he might be.
Right, but the baby's not going to be born with the thing circumcised.
Well, it's an alien. You never know what's going on in those.
They do have aliens.
But Molina did play the guy in Fiddler on the Roof, so it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that saves on hiring a moil.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we got to save wherever we can.
Yeah.
Syl has a tan line, contact lenses, and pierced ears. All of which she could never obtain within the movies world. I don't really know about a tan line and contact lenses, but she definitely has pierced ears in the movie.
I didn't notice.
Maybe she went to Piercing Pagoda at the
well, wasn't
LA
she?
Mall.
All right, so I'm trying to figure this out.
These aren't meant to go in depth. They're supposed to be like one-liners, and you go,
I'm sorry. All right.
I mean.
So that's like it's an anachronism. It's I didn't know.
Why, are you going to tell me she studied humans and was able to pick up on
No. I was
because there is some there. They do show some of that in the movie.
Yeah, I compared it to I was like they're doing the same thing that they did in like the movie Starman and in Terminator. Even like the theme, they become sort of more human at the more time they spend, in the human environment. But I did not notice the earrings. I wasn't looking at her earrings. Okay, I wasn't looking at her ears.
Where were you looking?
Where two other appendages or whatever you call them.
Okay,
but not her ears.
When young Syl wakes up from a nightmare, I think she's in the train. She's about to eat pudding. There are chocolate stains on her lips from previous takes.
Well, maybe it was, you obviously saw how many she ate, so maybe that wasn't the first one.
She was a hungry little gal, yes.
I wonder if she was diabetic. Oh wait, no, that was the guy who was diabetic.
Yes, here are some things they consider factual errors. The conductor on the train gets half sucked into the cocoon, resulting in her death. Syl later emerges from the messy cocoon, covered with fluid, and falls right on top of the conductor. But when Syl dons the conductor's clothes, they are spotless, clean, and pressed.
Well, clearly this alien race has a washer-dryer in their DNA, so they can work that, and they can take care of all of that. So I do not consider that a factual error. I consider that error possibly deliberate by the filmmakers, one of those IMDb errors that they call.
Well, let me hear what you think of this.
Okay.
When the scientists try to kill young Syl, they flood her cell with what is supposed to be cyanide gas. The gas looks like white steam. However, cyanide gas is invisible. Duh. I have no idea.
Well,
by the way, you know what else they do with white steam?
What?
When they're looking for Syl in like the forest behind the guy's house, and Syl is watching like Michael Madsen through that little alien eye.
Oh yeah.
They see like white steam, like she's clearly walked this trail.
Yeah,
you know?
I got nothing for that one.
All right. When the team goes back to the hotel, they had drinks. They have drinks downstairs. They go to their rooms. A member of the hotel staff is seen knocking on the door saying, "Housekeeping," and Syl obtains her keys. However, no one in a hotel typically makes housekeeping rounds in the evening.
Who gives a shit? Fuck you.
All right,
Who wrote that?
Housekeeping? Stewie Bajakian.
Tommy Boy. Come on, Tommy Boy.
Have you seen House? No, that was in the morning, though.
Was it?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Housekeeping. You want me to jerk you off? Oh, yeah, it was in the morning.
You want blowjob? Wait, what kind of housekeeping is this?
Oh, Richard, hold me. Well, I don't care. You know what? The housekeeping's on 24 hours a day. You need new towels and sheets. You call, you're going to get them. All right? So I don't consider that any factual error at all.
I'm so wasteful, like when I go to a hotel. Like I just look at a towel and I throw it on the floor. You know?
You're that guy.
When I'm home, it's like I smell it. I'm like, oof, I could go another 6 days. Maybe I'll just throw it in the laundry right away. All right, Andrew, let's cut all the mirth and merriment. We're done with fun facts. Do you want to take a gander at the box office for Species? I have domestic gross, I have international, and then the worldwide. So you can give me 1, 2, or all three. Again, I have domestic, I have international, and I have total worldwide gross. What do you think? Species 1995.
I remember this movie coming out. It was popular. It was a hit, like, way more than anyone thought it would be. It spawned at least 2 sequels that I'm aware of, one of which was legit, meaning, like, original cast people. So I'm gonna say, for a movie, and you said the budget was $35 million?
Yes.
For a movie like if a $35 million movie is gonna justify a sequel, like a sequel, movie sequel, not like go to DVD sequel, I'm gonna say it's gotta break $100 million. So I'm gonna say $110 million. I'm just, I don't know how you know what? I'll say 110 in the States. Domestic.
Okay. You were right there. So the total worldwide was 113. It made about 60 mil domestic, another 53 international for 113 total.
Okay. All right.
Opening weekend in the U.S. made over 17 mil.
Wow.
It had a 53% share of the domestic box office.
Made more than Private Parts.
Opened more than over 2,000 screens. So it had about a 6-week average run per theater.
That's a hit.
Okay. Well, Andrew thinks it's a hit. What did the critics have to say about Species? So very interested to read you some reviews and hear your thoughts, your final thoughts on Species. Species grew a 42% on the tomato meter based on 73 reviews. Species scored a 31% audience score based on over 25,000 audience member reviews. I always find that interesting when the audience score is lower than the critic score.
Me too.
I think that's telling about a movie. I'm not quite sure.
Me neither. I don't know what that means. It just means that I feel
like audiences are usually more forgiving, but here perhaps they're not. I mean, it's weird, right?
Yeah, maybe because the critics see value in some things that audiences don't. Like, audiences were expecting maybe something different from this than they got. Like, I know that my expectations were not met in different ways, and I'll explain that when I review it. So that could be something. But it doesn't quite make sense here. I don't know.
Let's hear what the critics had to say, Gruey, about Species. Michael Phillips, Chicago Tribune. It's a sex horror fantasy without laughs or life, a nightmare without sense, a casual pickup that should have been left at the disco. Jamie Bernard of the New York Daily News. Despite its silly excesses of misogyny, watch out for female sexuality, it'll kill ya. This absurdly exploitative sci-fi movie is not unpleasant to watch. Jonathan Rosenbaum, Chicago Reader. In spite of all of its unexplained and semi-ridiculous plot premises, it works surprisingly as well as a genre exercise, perhaps because, like Alien, it knows how to exploit misogynist, biological, and sexual anxieties for all they're worth. Ian Nathan of Empire Magazine. Despite the ridiculous premise and casting, it's still a pacey little sci-fi thriller. Gene Siskel, Chicago Tribune. Roger Donaldson directs Species with a firm pace, and right up until the end, he's in control of a most satisfying summer film. And finally, Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly. It doesn't help that the special effects are second-rate. The squishy primal horror of Alien has been replaced by a kind of mechanized yuckiness. Okay,
yuckiness.
Andrew Grew, let's get you out of the let's get you out of the dugout, and let's get you up to bat. Your time is now. Give us the definitive Henstridge word on Species on a scale of 0 to 4 cyanide canisters. Did Species Grew offer you more than just Natasha Henstridge's film debut and the titillating shots of her naked, or is there a really good sci-fi film in there? What do you say, brother?
My expectations for this were not what I got. My expectations were we were getting true science fiction. What we got was a supercharged, high-octane thriller, which I loved from the very first moment. I was hook, line, and sinker in 30 seconds in when I saw the premise, when it came up on the thing about alien, all that kind of stuff. I'm interested in that, and all this mumbo jumbo about sexual whatevers. Yeah, you get a lot of tits and ass in the movie from one of, I will say this, Natasha Henstridge in this movie is, if you asked me to describe my absolute perfect fantasy whatever, it's between her and the Penny from The Big Bang Theory. I see it as nothing more and nothing less than a fantastic mid-90s, somewhat cheesy special effects, but great cast, giving it 110%, being total pros, covering all the cliches and doing it shamelessly with fast-paced direction. I really, really enjoyed this movie more than I did when I saw it for the first time, which was, I think I saw it in the movie theater. I really loved this movie. And until the formulaic ending, which I felt could have, if the ending was as inventive as, meaning the entire set piece that ended, it ended up being, basically Jurassic Park and all that, at the end there. So, were it not for the formulaic ending, this would be, tops. But because of that, I am going to give it 3.5 cyanide whatevers. Is that what they're called? Cyanide what?
Well, you don't even listen to the whole setup and
cyanide canisters.
Yes.
Yeah. 3.5. 3.5. I was super surprised at how much I truly enjoyed Species. So, do with that what you will. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought they didn't go as far as they could have with the inventiveness of the whole thing. But that being said, all the other things I said, made it really fun to watch. So 3.5.
That being said, all the things I said.
Yeah.
Are you again giving me one of those? And I'm not saying you're saying it's bad, so bad that it's good.
No.
You're not giving me this.
Sometimes.
Because I'm not buying that shit again. Please don't do this to me.
No. Sometimes movies are better served when the special effects don't overshadow everything else that's going on. Like, the best special effect in the movie was the alien itself. Okay?
Yes.
The stunts weren't that good. Like anytime they're riding in a car, you could tell they're not really, it did have a B movie feel, and I liked that about it. To me, it worked for the kind of, just like, in a way, The Terminator. The Terminator was a B movie, and you love The Terminator. We both loved The Terminator. That was a B movie. The special effects in that movie were very primitive, and it wouldn't work the other way. Because it really, it gave the movie its pulse and its style and its feel. So that's what I feel about this one.
All right. May I take
you asked, I answered, so now it's your turn.
You asked, I answered. That would be a good name. You asked, I answered. That is true. I mean, I did ask him. Shame on me. It's funny you mentioned Terminator because Terminator is actually in my notes.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me give you guys a final Moody review, and I differ a little bit, somewhat with my esteemed friend on this movie. I'll give you the good. I'm a fan of science fiction movies no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So I am always game for a good science fiction movie. You're always going to get me on the couch, and you're going to get my attention at the beginning. As Gru mentioned, it's a deep cast. There's, we got H.R. Geiger, visual aesthetics, which is always a winner to me. So I like that. It's a chase movie, which I like that as well. And, as Gru mentioned, Natasha Henstridge, she has a great film debut. She is stunningly beautiful and she's fun to look at, but she can act a little bit. She's good. I bought into Syl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now I'm gonna give you the bad.
What? What was so bad that you're preparing yourself?
Okay. You don't get much in terms of Syl, the alien. You get a lot of shots that are angled and dark. You don't really get the big reveal to the alien until the end. Like most good action movies, it's essentially a chase movie, but I never got that urgency as Terminator. I never got that urgency in Aliens. I never got that emotional investment that I had with those prior films due to a couple of things. I think the plot has got a lot of holes in it, and I have right here, due to that cheap look factor. Ben Kingsley completely overacts here. I hate his performance as Fitch. Wide eyes with the single teardrop rolling down. Then when he finally gets off at the end, he's with the light and the eyes are wide open with the water. As a guy who's a government, maybe pseudo soldier, scientist, I thought his performance was a complete overacting. And a guy who's a quality actor maybe wasn't a great choice here. Forrest Whitaker is some hippie empath. Complete waste of Forrest Whitaker's skills. I thought he's really there just for exposition, I feel her. Her motherhood is coming. Okay,
Absolutely.
I'm giving you some of my criticisms of the movie. Final review, Gru, I wanted to love this movie so badly. It's got sci-fi, it's got aliens, it's got a kitschy cast, Michael Madsen, Alfred Molina, Natasha Henstridge. It's got violence, it's got boobies. It's got everything that I like, but it didn't, where you found maybe the B-movie appeal charming, I didn't like that. It didn't have overall quality. And here's how I put it. Everything that I'm saying I thought about and I wrote down. I can go into Publix and I can get a nice name brand Tombstone frozen pizza, a major brand, whatever. I don't get frozen pizza, but I can go to get Campbell's soup.
Okay.
Or I can go and for less money I can get a generic. Maybe it's close, maybe it's not, and maybe I don't have the same overall enjoyment. And that's my analogy to Species. It's not Aliens, it's not a knockoff, but it feels like just a cheap generic. When you talk about Terminator, the material to me elevated my experience. Here, it didn't. And I enjoyed some of the performances, and I enjoyed some of the pieces of the movie, but I'll give it 2 canisters of cyanide, and I think I'm being generous there.
Wow.
Because of the sci-fi factor and Geiger. But to me, it's a good generic. It ain't the original.
See, it's interesting because everything that you didn't like, I agree. Ben Kingsley is way over the top.
Oh, I thought
difference
I
is
thought he's terrible. But
I loved it. I loved how over the top he was. I felt it was necessary for the nonsense that was going on around him. It just did it for me. You also and you
mention the single solitary tear, and he goes,
yeah,
he mouths,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was hooked right in. Look, I can see, I can understand that for whatever reason, the stuff that usually bothers me didn't this time because I think because I was so surprised. It wasn't nearly the kind of movie I thought it was going to be. I thought it actually took place in outer space. That's what I thought. Right. I mean, that's what it's kind of marketed as. Like the posters and even the credits look like, it looks like it looks like an Alien knockoff, but it's not. It might be an Aliens knockoff. That's more of like a chase,
no, I think the
thing.
movie is hurt a little bit by the H.R. Geiger. It's got the similar aesthetics, but it doesn't pull it off. Now, Alien was conceptualized. I've read a lot about Alien and the whole franchise and watched a lot of YouTube videos. It was conceptualized as a B movie, but they brought on board Ridley Scott, and he saw something in the material and he said, no. Let's just not make a cheap knockoff kind of deal here. Like, let's put a few bucks into it, and we'll use some camera tricks and things like that. And let's go the serious route. And I'm not saying here they went for gimmicky. I'm not saying but it came across. Now, I will be frank. If I have a quiet moment and I got nothing to do, I'll put on Species 2 because I'm curious to see where they'll go with the story.
Me too.
But
I get it. I do. I just for whatever reason I was just pleasantly surprised at how much I was just enjoying it. So.
I mean, and there was so much the notes, but this whole concept of wetware and alien DNA and communications, there could have been a really, really high conceptual movie. Now, here's the thing. You go too high concept, sometimes you leave the audiences sitting there going, huh? And I think there was once a Jodie Foster movie, I forget this.
Contact.
Yeah, very high concept. Then you go 2001, and sometimes that's a miss because either people don't connect,
right?
Or then you got to watch YouTube videos to figure out what the author or the producer or the director is trying to do. So I'm glad they didn't go ultra high concept here, but they could have classed up, I think, the material a bit more. And I said enough, but I think my generic analogy is a good one for Species.
I agree.
It ain't Campbell's. It's Publix brand, which can be not bad. But it's not Campbell. You know what I mean?
All right.
So there.
All right.
I said it.
I'm sorry I didn't like it.
All right, Andrew. Let's finish this up. Give us, please, one thing you're watching this week. Give our viewers, our listeners, one thing you're watching this week.
All right. I am watching on your favorite channel and my favorite channel, the world's favorite channel, the one channel that everybody in the world probably doesn't have the Roku channel. And I'm watching
the Roku channel.
And I'm watching the movie entitled Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic biography.
I've seen the trailer.
It is hilarious.
All right.
This is a very special movie. This is a biopic made by Weird Al Yankovic. He's in it. He wrote it. The guy who played Harry Potter plays him.
Yes.
And it's a fact-free biopic, meaning it's all made up. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like that, though.
Oh, my God. I think you will.
Okay.
I think you will. I mean, because Weird Al.
I want to see a biopic where I learn facts about the guy.
You'll learn some things, but what I'm talking about is, for example, Daniel Radcliffe is his name, I think. He's Harry Potter, so he plays Weird Al Yankovic. Now, Weird Al Yankovic's a skinny little runt. Okay, he's got like hunched shoulders. He's a nerdy looking guy. So Radcliffe, he's got the hair, he's got the mustache, but he's jacked, and he plays him like that. He plays him like exactly how he's not, and that's what I mean by it's completely fabricated.
Okay.
And like, you know who his love interest is in the movie? Madonna, not the actress, meaning the person in the movie. He's dating Madonna. And
is that factual?
No, they never met.
Well, all right, I'll give it a shot.
It's fun. It's a comedy. It's not a biopic. It's a comedy, and it's hilarious. I think it's. I don't think it's just on the Roku channel anymore. I think that's where it came out, but I think they've made it because it's been as popular as it has been. I think it's more widely available. So I recommend it. What about you? What are you watching this week?
Man, I don't even get a chance to watch. I like to just stick to my our small environment of entertainment. But I did catch on Netflix 2022, and it's a major movie, and I enjoyed it. Brad Pitt, Joey King, WWE part-timer Bad Bunny, Bullet Train, action caper on a train. And I'm going to tell you what I liked about it. It was, to me, could be the next Fast and the Furious franchise.
Really?
It's with better acting. It's sort of a fun, ridiculous action film. It's got a touch of irony. It's directed by David Leitch of John Wick fame. So, you know, if you're a fan of John Wick, which I am, especially the first one, it's well done, and Brad Pitt's in it, and it's just got all these characters, and you could run prequels and sequels of, you know, different assassins and characters on the train as the film progresses, and it's just it's a fun action movie.
All right, I've seen I haven't seen any trailers, but I see it advertised. Looks generic to me, but you say it's good. I will check it out.
Yeah, you could do a lot worse.
Brad Pitt's a legend.
Just turned 59.
Wow.
That was his birthday. So, all right, Gruey, next week we return back to the mothership, Nothing Worthwhile with Moody and Gru. We'll return with our Nothing Worthwhile end of year special, all the stuff that we love to talk about. WWE, Howard Stern, movies, music, television. We'll get our thoughts on the latest news involving those subjects, and we'll give you our predictions and our best looks at what might happen in 2023. Andrew, Nothing Worthwhile, end of year special.
Yeah, aren't you asking questions?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
It's going to be this. What is our format? I throw ideas at you. You respond.
No, but I have no idea what's coming.
I work for 15 hours in research, and then you just wake up 15 minutes before the podcast, drink a decaffeinated coffee, and then splash some water on your face and go, I'm ready.
Well, look, I spent all of fifth period yesterday putting together that opening package, all right? I neglected my students. Just kidding.
We'll ask Andrew, we'll talk about some of the latest developments in the world of WWE, Howard, movies, music, television, and then we'll see what predictions we have for 2023. And then, Gru, in 1 month's time, we'll come back to Van Dammit. Gru and I will take a look at 1993, Nowhere to Run, starring one Jean-Claude Van Damme, Rosanna Arquette, Kieran Culkin, and Ted Levine. Gru, you know the story. The escaped convict lands on a widow's farm and protects her from further baddies. Action love story. You heard it all the time.
It's Three Amigos too, isn't it?
There you go. When the law can't protect the innocent, the only hero left is an outlaw. Gru, Jean-Claude, and Nowhere to Run.
Well, this movie will definitely be on Horrorland.com. I can tell you that.
Oh, good. Well,
have you seen it?
I believe I have. I have a visual in my mind. It's just been a long time.
Oh, I've seen it, or at least part of it.
All right, well, Gru,
oh God, we're
that's
so
it for this episode. That's it for this episode of Van Dammit, as we looked longingly and lovingly at the film debut of the stunning Natasha Henstridge. Andrew, take us out of here.
Would you like me to, Evan?
Yeah, it's... Well, what time? It's 8:04 here.
It's 10:04 here.
I gotta walk the dog.
10:04 p.m. here in Coconut Creek, Florida. 8:04 p.m. in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be giving you our year-end special, which might also be our 100th episode, but who cares?
We're getting close.
We're either close or we passed it. I gotta check that out. But next week, our year-end special, I can't wait to find out what is Evan going to ask me. I can't wait to find out. Following that, we've got Nowhere to Run, Jean-Claude Van Dammit. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, no retreat,
no surrender, brother.